Welcome into Mock Trial Masterclass, your guide to controlling the courtroom. I'm Luke and I want you to be a mock trial master. Let's talk about how you can make that happen. I'm really excited for today's mock trial film session because we're going to be watching a great witness performance on direct examination. In fact, it's probably one of the best that I've ever seen. I was actually in the room for this one. This is at the 2019 Tennessee High School State Mock Trial Competition. Just really good stuff. That's all I can tell you before we hop into this. I will let you know that if there's any other topic you'd like to cover in a future mock trial film session or a video you'd like to see me make on this channel, please leave a comment below and let me know because I want to help you. I want to cover the topics that you want to know about. So if you have an idea, let me know. I would be happy to give it a look. For a little bit of context, this is the defendant in a murder trial being directed by her attorney. And let's just hop in and enjoy this really good performance.
Please tell us your name.
My name is Peyton Patterson.
Miss Patterson, have you been sitting in this courtroom throughout today's trial?
Yes, I have.
Have you been listening as these prosecutors have been trying to convince the jury that you murdered Rory Reynolds?
Yes, I've been listening.
Miss Patterson, will you look this jury in the eyes and tell them once and for all, did you murder Rory Reynolds?
Of course I didn't murder Rory. She was my best friend in the whole world and I would never do anything to her, I swear. It was all a horrible accident.
All right, two things I'm going to comment on right off the bat that can easily go wrong for you as a witness. One of them is accent. One of them is crying on the witness stand. I've seen both done really, really well. She's doing a great job of it here, and I've seen plenty of other witnesses do a great job of crying on the stand and of using an accent. I've also seen both go horribly, horribly wrong. I've got a video on my channel about what makes a good mock trial accent, what doesn't, when to use one, when not to use one. You can go check that out for more tips on a good accent. Spoiler, this one's really, really good. But when it comes to crying on the witness stand, you got to be able to do it well like she's doing. It's convincing. It's clearly not fake. In fact, I know from the fact that I was in the room that tears were literally coming down her face when this was happening. But also at the same time, it's warranted, right? She's the defendant in a murder trial. As you just heard, it was her best friend that got killed. The emotion actually makes sense. Where a lot of the crying in mock trial kind of goes wrong for me personally is when the stakes aren't really high enough. Like maybe we're talking about like a small dollar lawsuit or something and someone's in tears and like no one died. I don't really know why we're crying in that situation. Here it makes perfect sense. So if you're going to cry on the witness stand, make sure you can do it really convincingly and that it looks real, and make sure it's actually warranted by the emotion of the moment.
Did you take any action whatsoever that you thought might harm Rory Reynolds or lead to her death?
No, of course not.
Did you point a gun at Rory Reynolds' head and pull the trigger?
No, God, no.
Before we talk about what actually happened that night, I'd like to let the jury get to know you some. How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
And where do you live?
I live in Trainor County, Tennessee.
Where did you grow up?
Believe it or not, I grew up in Roughneck, Tennessee.
Did you have any experience handling firearms while growing up?
Yes, my mum was an ex-Marine and my dad was an avid hunter, so I learned how to handle firearms pretty early on.
And what did they teach you about handling firearms?
They taught me all the rules one should know.
And did you ever graduate high school?
Yes, I graduated in 2013.
Did you attend college after that?
Yes, I started Trainor State that fall.
And what did you study at Trainor State?
I studied forestry and wildlife sciences because I've always loved being outdoors.
And did you get any kind of job after graduating college?
Yes, I became a park ranger at Trainor State Park, and frankly, it's the best job in the world because I got to be outside all day and I got to take care and preserve the park so that families...
Objection, Your Honor, relevant.
Okay, first of all, stupid objection. Second of all, do you see how much personality that she is infusing into this direct examination right here? Even if these answers are scripted and she might have very well rehearsed these and memorized these, it doesn't sound that way. It sounds so natural, and she is instantly likable by virtue of the fact that she's giving you some details about her character to kind of dig into in your mind, right? I mean, do you like this person or do you not like this person? You like this person, right? Obviously, she's giving us reasons to, and that's so important as a witness, especially one of the quote-unquote main character witnesses like this, whether you're playing the plaintiff or the defendant or the victim in a criminal case, right? You gotta have some personality. You gotta have something to make yourself likable. And just these simple details about her job, you know, it was the best job ever, or whatever she's talking about. It just really adds to her character, adds to her personality, making her instantly likable. We're going to skip this awful relevance objection and keep going with the direct.
I'm sorry, Ms. Patterson, what were you saying?
I was just saying that I loved being a park ranger because I got to be outdoors all day, and I got to be a part of a place that allowed families to come and enjoy nature.
And did your job as a park ranger require you to carry any kind of firearm?
Yes, all the rangers were issued service pistols.
Was there any kind of certification or test that you had to go through to obtain this pistol?
Yes, all the rangers were issued, they all had to take the fitness and field arms certification test.
And did you pass this test?
I did.
How did you know Rory Reynolds?
Rory Reynolds was my best friend in the whole world.
You see how warm her eyes get in that situation, right? Again, going back to the fact that she's not just reciting a memorized script. You could literally look in her eyes and see that she cared for this person who, by the way, is not real, because this is mock trial. There is no Rory Reynolds in the world, at least that I'm aware of. But in her eyes in that moment, I mean, go back and watch it again. You could just see the care on her eyes, the concern on her eyes for the fact that her friend died. Just such good stuff here. You got to seem real. You got to seem authentic. You got to live in the moment as a witness character, and she is doing that better than just about anyone I've ever seen.
Did you meet her?
I met her at freshman orientation at Crater State, and she and I just really hit it off, and we became best friends, and we roomed together all through college, and we even decided to live together afterwards, and she was such a joy to be around.
I mean, the pauses, the vocabulary she's using, it's very conversational, right? She's not sounding like a professor and we were best friends and we encountered each other on this day and we became acquainted. No, she's just talking about her friend, right? And this and that, right? She's using incomplete sentences. It's so good. It's so realistic. And that's your goal as a witness on direct examination, is you want to be an authentic representation of whatever you're playing. If you're a doctor, look and sound and feel like a doctor. If you are being railroaded into a trial as a defendant, look and sound and feel like a defendant who's being railroaded into a trial. Hello, right? And she's doing such a good job of that here.
She lit up every room she went in, and her smile was so sweet, and she had such a great way of making me laugh, and I miss her so much.
How would you describe your relationship with Miss Reynolds?
We were like sisters. I was an only child growing up, so I never got the experience of a sister, but once I met Rory, I knew what that was like, and we knew how to pick at each other sometimes, and over the years we could get on each other's nerves, but we were the best of friends.
Did you also meet someone named Guy in Rosling while you were in college?
I did. He and I dated for about a year. We started dating my sophomore year.
And how did that relationship end?
After a year, he got some acting gig on the West Coast, so he moved away and we broke up.
At any point, was there any kind of jealousy between you and Rory Reynolds about Guy in Rosling?
No, of course not.
Now, on the night of June 18th, 2018, were you home?
Yes, I was.
And what were you doing at home?
Rory and I were talking on the balcony about our days, drinking a couple beers like we normally did.
Now, it's been alleged that there was some kind of argument that night. Is this true?
Yes, it's true.
And again, you can just see in her eyes, right? This is a negative point for this witness. She had an argument with the person she's being accused of having killed. And when that question got asked by the attorney, right, is it true that there was an argument that night? You could see it in her eyes. It was just like, Yeah, there was an argument that night. It's so realistic. And I don't care if you're not playing a victim like this, where you're going to be crying, you're going to be very emotional. You've got to be realistic, just like she is, because that's what's going to make you a top-notch mock trial master witness. This is just, no pun intended, this is a masterclass right here.
This argument begin.
Well, I went inside to get another drink, and that's when I noticed a postcard that was about to fall out of Rory's bag. And so I looked at it, and that's when I realized that Rory thought that she couldn't be truthful with me, and that broke my heart.
And is this when that argument began?
Yes, it is. See, by looking at the postcard, it became evident to me. See, about a year earlier, my friends and I had planned a spring break trip to Miami, and we had booked a bunch of things like Airbnbs, and we were really excited about it. But last minute, Rory backed out, and she didn't have any friends or relatives in the West Coast, so the only person she knew was Guy and Rosling. So my friends and I asked her, "Is that who you're going to go visit?" But she always denied that. And seeing this postcard, it said. It was from California to Rory, and it said 1 year ago we were together here. It just made me think that she felt she couldn't be honest with me, and even though we were like sisters.
Today, the government has been trying to insinuate that the argument that you had was violent and physical. Is this true?
No, of course not. I'm proud to say I have never, ever been in a physical fight with anybody, and I would never, ever hurt anyone in a physical fight or any other kind of fight, and I did not hurt Rory.
Again, she has emotion, but I see witnesses a lot of times who have emotion like this, again, when it's not warranted, when the actual stakes of the moment aren't pushing for something like that. Here, they are, and she's taking full advantage of that.
And how did the argument end?
After about an hour, Rory said, I've had enough, I'm going for a drive.
And how did you react when she said this?
This made me upset.
Were you upset about the postcard that you had seen an hour earlier?
No.
Why were you upset, Miss Patterson?
I was upset because Rory did this thing when she would get worked up, where she would go for a drive, and sometimes she would be gone for an hour, other times days on end, and if she was upset with me in some way, she would never text me and let me know where she was or if she was okay. And I knew that she had had drinks that night, many drinks to my knowledge, and so I thought she was overreacting, and I just didn't like it when she would do this.
So what did you do when she said this?
I went to go get my things from the car.
Why did you have things in Rory Reynolds' car?
Well, my car was in the shop, so she and I had been carpooling.
What things did you need to get out of Rory Reynolds' car?
I had to get my gym bag and my phone charger and my service pistol.
Now these next few seconds are extremely important, so I'd like you to look this jury in the eyes and explain it to them as best as you can, Miss Patterson. What happened as you were getting your things out of Rory Reynolds' car?
Well, I started to get the gym bag and the charger out of the car, and I was so preoccupied. I started to pick up my service pistol, and it was stuck on something. It was caught, and I pulled at it to try to get it to come loose from whatever it was caught on, and I pulled again to try to get it to come off, and I just wasn't thinking it. I pulled harder and I tripped back, and the gun went off. The gun fired.
Did you think that anyone was outside in the parking lot with you at this point, Miss Patterson?
No, I thought I was the only one outside.
Now, I want to be clear here. The moral of us having this film session video is not for you to go and start crying on the witness stand, right? Again, it needs to be determined by the emotion of the moment. Clearly, it fits. But whatever you do or don't do when it comes to crying as a witness, being authentic is what I want you to take away from this video. I've been talking about it over and over again the whole time we've been watching this, but it's just so good. I mean, Like, she's getting asked these questions about this horrible moment in her life, and she's not just, well, I walked out to the car and I picked up the gym bag and I slipped and the gun went off and shot him. No, like, she's telling this story like a real life human being person would tell this story, right? She's emotional. The sentences aren't fully formed. You can't even really understand everything she's saying because there's so much emotion behind it. That's the level of authenticity you've got to reach as a witness in mock trial, whether you're playing a crying defendant like this or whether you're playing a tax expert who's on the witness stand. I don't know. But whatever type of character you're playing, whatever level of emotion there is, be authentic. That's your takeaway from this video.
What happened when the gun went off?
At first I thought everything was okay. I didn't know he wasn't outside, but I looked over and there was a body on the ground, and I went closer and I realized that it was Rory, and there was blood all over her sweet face, and I tried to stop the blood because it was just coming out of her head, and I held a towel up to her head to stop it, but
I mean, the detail level here, right? I doubt most of this stuff is even in the witness statement. She's just making it all up. But she's making it seem, I've said this word a million times now, she's making it seem so real and it's so good.
it got through. The blood wouldn't stop.
At any point, Miss Patterson, did law enforcement arrive on the scene?
Yes, they arrived very quickly.
And did they ask you any questions?
Yes, they took me to the police station.
Miss Patterson, what did you tell law enforcement when they asked you these questions?
I told them it was an accident. I didn't mean to hurt her, I swear.
No further questions, Your Honor.
By the way, you can tell this is real because if you take a look there, her mascara is running. And I promise you, again, I was in the room. This was very real. The tears were coming down her eyes. So at this point, I don't know that there's anything else I need to say. Kind of speaks for itself. If you want to learn more about being a great witness during direct or cross or any other time of the trial, pick up a copy of my book, Mock Trial Masterclass. You can click the link in the description on YouTube or in the show notes on podcast platforms to pick up a copy of this book. I'm not even speaking straight. I'm just so wowed by this. Even though I saw it for the first time 4 years ago, it's still that good. Wow. That's all I got for you. Have fun. Enjoy. Go be great.